Chaz. Hey, buddy. Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you, by God. Come on in.
All right.
Come on in.
All right, action. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Cowboy Cartel. Today we're in Newcastle, Utah. We're here with Chaz Mitchell in his shop. He was kind enough to allow us to come in. First, I guess, let me say thanks for having us in, Chaz.
Absolutely, but I'm glad you guys were able to make it over here.
Yeah, me too. It was a beautiful drive through the Nevada desert.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about this in the other video, which you guys are going to get to see. We started out doing a B-roll, just kind of capturing some stuff, but he went through the entire process of making a hat. So we've got pretty much start to finish on how you make a hat.
Yeah, we're going to cut a bunch of that out too. I don't need anybody seeing that kind of stuff.
But you guys are going to get to see that in a separate video. So if you're interested in seeing that, check out our YouTube, and maybe it's already out. But I wanted to talk to you about making hats because you've been on social media. So when did you start on social media?
2013, I think, is when I officially started. That's when I made my Facebook account.
Okay.
Yep. But we really got to rocking and rolling a couple of years ago when I had Chris and McKenzie come on and help out. So.
Yeah, I mean, I see you at least weekly in my feed, and I don't really know if I pay attention if it's Facebook or Instagram. Are you on everything? TikTok, Instagram, Facebook?
No, just the Facebook and the Instagram. We don't do the TikTok. I asked them how come, and I said, boy, there's a lot of that TikTok's really blowing up. I think we ought to maybe get on that. And they said, well, how busy are you? And I said, oh, good God, I'm busy. I said, I don't need any more work. That's for dang sure. And they said, then stay the hell off of TikTok. Like, you'll double up on your business overnight if you're not careful. So, yeah, we just do Instagram and Facebook.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and right now you're a year out.
Yes, sir.
So, you go to TikTok, you might be 2 years out. Unfortunately, this is going to make it to TikTok. So,
well, that's all right. Welcome.
Welcome to Chaz's shop.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point was I had seen you, and you'd kind of blown up and become more recognized. You kind of have a different perspective, though. You started out in 2013, 2014.
Yeah.
Just posting pictures of your hats, right? That you were making.
Well, yeah, because, that's what you do on Facebook. You turn around and take a picture of your goods, and then, you tell what it is, and then you post it. And then you never put a price, because then that makes them call you, and then you can negotiate a price. That's how I was told how it works. So I'd take me a picture, and I made sure I had me a cool old stool or something, and put the hat on there and take a picture and post it. My mom would like it.
My mom still likes all of our
Then I'd
stuff.
turn around and have to find, I'd have to ask my wife and my kids if they'd please like it. And so then that way maybe it could get out there a little bit farther. And that's kind of how it started. And so, yeah, been on there for a little while, but I personally am horrible at it.
Yes, when I called you and talked to you, I think you have email and text message, and that's about it, right?
Yeah, I like to talk on the telephone. Yeah.
So if you guys need a hat, you got to call Chaz.
You got to call me personally. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it.
But your kind of social media has changed, and now you kind of give information about the hat industry, whether it's different shape and what it means, or a rough out. I remember seeing your rough out video, or what people would normally think of as grizzly.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more informative, and we like that. I love that personally because all of our stuff is informative. And you may have noticed how nerd-like I am about hats by some of the conversations we've had.
Kind of nerdy. Kind of dig it. Very, very seldom do I find somebody I can talk about a hat and have them still intrigued 3 minutes in. It doesn't happen very often. I'm kind of hard to talk to.
Really?
No, I don't think so. I think it's probably the opposite. I got a pretty good line of bullshit. So.
Yeah, well, hey, and you seem pretty knowledgeable too. You didn't have any problem answering any of my questions. So how did you get started in the hat industry? Tell us a little bit about your background. How did you How did you come up with Chaz Mitchell Hatz?
Well, a little bit of background. I've always worn them. You know, grew up with them. We lived on a bunch of different ranches growing up in the middle of nowhere, and needed a cowboy hat, so I always had one on. I rodeoed, and when I was rodeoing, man, you had like two styles to choose from in the early '90s. You know what I mean? We didn't have a lot to choose from, so I think I was telling you earlier, but it seemed like if you walked into the store in my high school days up in through my college days and on, you know, whoever was at the top of their game at the time seemed to be the hat that was on display. So growing up, Ty Murray's you either looked like Ty Murray or you had a hat like George Strait. Those were your two options pretty much.
George Strait's had a pretty long run.
A damn long run. You dang right he has. Yep, it's been a good one. And Ty's shape is still very prominent also. You know, that's what's great about him is I didn't want to be that way. I wanted my shape to be different, and so I started soaking my hats in water trough and shaping them from a young age. I wanted them to look a little different, and wanted them to be a little different.
What was your go-to shape back then?
A little flatter, man. I didn't really like my sides really turned up, you know. But you're either a roughie or a timey, right? And if you were a timey, you wore the George Strait, which was a little too flat for my liking, or you were wearing a roughie, which was, you know, your little steeper on your sides, and I kind of like the in between. A lot of the bareback riders and bronc riders like that in between look back when I was going, and so I spent a lot of time doing that, trying to make them right. Pretty soon I'm shaping all of my buddies' hats, and so I've always shaped, but I never could find what I wanted. Right? I wanted a 5-inch brim. I wanted a 5-inch brim with an ashtray, and an ashtray crown's easy. You can put that in anything, you know. Cram that top in and you're good to go.
What's an ashtray crown?
Oh, your flat top, your stovepipe, pretty much. You know,
okay.
the old Vicarro type of look.
Okay, so like what somebody might think of today as a CHL or a cool hand loop?
No, not at all.
Completely flat.
Very flat across the top, smashed down and completely flat, like you just shape it in that way. I'll show you a couple, but
all right.
I really wanted Northern Nevada. Northern Nevada is kind of, you know, known as the buckaroo capital of the country, and that's where I grew up, and so I always wanted to kind of stick with my traditional roots and have that shape. So I wanted one with a 5-inch brim, and I couldn't get it. And my wife put me in a class. It was a hat making class for fun at the National Cowboy Poetry Gathering in 2012 in Elko, Nevada, and an old boy by the name of Roy Jackson was teaching you how to build hats. He built it the same way that John Stetson pretty much built his back in the 1800s. So he's given a needle and thread and a piece of sandpaper and told good luck, you know. We made a hat from there in 3 days, and I fell in love with it. I was a horseshoer by trade, and I've got a bad back. Like, what a horrible combination, right? You're a horseshoer. Oh, well, yeah, then you're dumber than a post, but you got to have a strong back. No, I'm dumber than a post, and my back is weak. So being a horseshoer was not for me. And so after I took that hat class, man, I fell in love with it. I'm like, holy cow, there is so much more to this than I knew that I ever thought there was. So I knuckled down, went and learned.
Where'd you go?
I Googled every custom hatter in the book. That anybody that Googled, that was on Google, I guess is what it's called, but whoever was on there in 2012, I started making phone calls. I would want and call them up, ask if I could apprentice. I got hung up on a lot. You know, boys don't want to teach their secrets. I don't blame them. It's just the way that it was. So I begged and poked and prodded, and finally I told old Roy, I was like, look, bud, I said, I want to be one of the best hat makers in the world, and I can either say that you helped me, or I can say that you didn't. Your choice. And he's like, it's about time you showed up. If you would have said that the first time, you'd already be making hats. Get your ass over here. So I drove up to Salmon, Idaho in the middle of the winter. It's a cold place in the winter. I lived in the Sacagawea Motel for 3 months, and we learned how to build cowboy hats.
Yeah.
And,
Is that all it takes? 3 months?
no, it does not. It takes 3 months before he says, you know what? Why don't you go ruin someone else's felts for a while? Go ruin your own shit instead of ruining mine, right? So, yeah, far from it. But it gives you the idea of what you need to do. Then you can go and ruin your own stuff. You know what I mean? Learn about trying to figure out how to manipulate felt is an art itself.
Yeah.
Once you figure that out, trying to tie it all together, it's like team role play, right? We've got 2 brains on 2 different humans, and then you add 2 horses' brains to it, and then you add a steer's brain to it, and somehow it all works out. Like it shouldn't, but it does, right? You've got a million different things going in a million different directions, and poof. When it's all said and done, you've got a 6-second run. Felt does one thing. Under humidity, it does something different. Under dry conditions, it does something different. It has a mind of its own. Then you're adding a sweatband. That's leather. Leather shrinks and swells and does all this different kind of stuff. So it's kind of the same process in my mind. I wanted to know it all. And so, yeah, I went and learned from him. And then I come over here, started buying the equipment.
That was my next question, because it takes a lot of equipment, right?
It takes a lot of equipment, and it takes a lot of specialized equipment.
Well,
you can't call Amazon and have them deliver you hat making stuff. It doesn't work like that.
One
right?
sewing machine's like $5,000, $7,000.
Oh, and that's after you get it rebuilt.
Right.
You bet. Yep.
And you got 2 of them.
I got it. You got to have 2 of them, man. You don't have to have 2. You don't have to have any. Have you ever sewed on a bound edge?
No.
It sucks. Okay, it's horrible. Sewing on a bound edge is a pain in the butt. So I got a bound edge machine. Had to get it completely rebuilt and everything. We just had the frame and built it from there. But so a couple of them, you need to have blocks.
Oh yeah, gotta have blocks.
Gotta have blocks. You can't make a hat without a block.
Right.
So they're not cheap either. So gotta get good blocks, good wood blocks. Get them. By the time you're all said and done, you're about $50,000 worth of equipment, and then you gotta get the bodies. Realize how much the bodies cost, and hope to God you don't ruin them.
Yeah, because you can't buy bodies one at a time, can you?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you can or not. To be honest with you, I've never done it. I've always had to order a bunch, but I've been in with my felter long enough now. I could probably call and order one. But at the time, I'm dang sure when I started in 2013, you'd order 5, 10 at a time all the time.
Right. I'm surprised at the volume you do, because we talked in the other video. You're only making 4 to 5, maybe 7 hats a day.
Oh, never 7.
Never
I mean,
7.
it takes a lot of. That's me and Hunter putting a lot of work in order to get 7. We can get 4 finished if we don't have any hiccups. 4 to 5. Yeah.
Wow. All right, so you
5
got
days a week. We could probably go 7 days a week and not hurt anything. It's a lot.
So you got but you're only doing 5 days a week. I mean, you could double your money, right? Saturdays too. Saturdays, Sundays.
Yeah, no, you don't. Gotta have a life. Gotta have a life in there, you know. Gotta figure out. I got a lot of kids. I gotta have a life in there somewhere. I got
Right.
grandkids coming, so yeah. But that's kind of. And you think that that's good volume?
No, I think it's very low. I'm surprised that you were as successful as you are on on Instagram and Facebook. I'm surprised you don't have tons more people calling every day wanting hats.
We get people calling every day wanting hats, but every day we get emails. Every day we get phone calls. Every day people are wanting them. You don't turn nobody away, right? You just explain to them the wait time and why. And if you're willing to wait for a guy that literally sews in every sweatband, he does everything. We pull every hat down. We don't have a finger finger. What did you call it? Finger blocker.
blocker.
Yeah, we don't have one of those. And we've only got that many fingers to deal with, so it makes it worser. But yeah, we do everything by hand, and lucky for me, there's people that's willing to wait for that.
So what happened there? Is that a hat maker's accident, or was it a farrier accident?
That was a bucking horse, actually.
No, really?
Yeah. In Fort Worth, Texas, your town. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. I had one flip over in the chute and smash my finger. So,
Wow.
yeah.
So you were a rodeo star before? hat
Not a
maker?
star. Not a star. Never a star, but I was a rodeo guy.
Yeah.
I love to get on them. I wasn't very good at riding them, but I love to get on them.
Saddle rock or?
Bareback horses.
Bareback?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, hence the part at the beginning where there wasn't a lot of brains. Yeah. Strong but no brains. Yep.
Strong but no brains and
Yeah.
bad back.
Bad back. Yeah. Yep.
All right, so you got all your equipment and you're ruining your own felts,
Mm-hmm.
right? How long did you ruin felts? And so you say ruin, but you really didn't. You probably just weren't making a fantastic hat at the beginning, right?
Far from it.
No, really.
Far from a fantastic hat at the time. And in my opinion, at the time, it was the prettiest goddamn thing I'd ever made, and it was worthy of going on Kevin Costner's head. Like, it was that beautiful.
Mhm.
Now I look at it, I've tried to buy back the first 100 hats I made. I've tried to buy them back. I was like, please don't wear that. You know,
Don't tell anybody.
Yeah, don't tell anybody I made that thing. It's kind of crazy to see the progression of.
So ruining hats. I guess your first 100. After that, you started getting better.
No, we started getting better right away.
Okay.
But it still wasn't the perfect thing, right? Like, if you're not making it better every day, then you'll never make a perfect hat. I hope. Like, that should be perfect for that person, but there should be something that the maker sees that they could have done better. And I had a lot to work with, right? Like, I pulled my hats down on a block like I should. I never changed that. I was learned the correct steps to make the perfect hat. Now you just have to have an eye for it. Like shoeing horses. You can learn how to tack a shoe on a horse, to drive a nail in without quicking him, to do all that kind of stuff. But you need to be able to hear the sound of the hammer and know what you're doing. You need to be able to feel the rasp and know how much you're taking off if you're getting close to where you need to be. It's the same way with working with hats. Find what you did, find what you can make better, and tweak on it. Figure out why. It's a lot of progression in that time.
What do you consider a perfect hat? What characteristics does it need to have in your mind to be a perfect hat?
But the perfect hat is one that, if I'm making the perfect hat, I'm going to be making it for you. And if you think it's perfect, then it's perfect. There's something that I can always do to probably make that hat a little bit better. Maybe I was a little bit off on this, or maybe I did something here. Maybe that stitch wasn't quite as clean as it should have been. But as long as you don't notice, then it's the perfect hat.
I think that the same way about every video we do. We try to do something better, and we've done this for years. We look at it, and all right, we're going to do at least one thing better next time. And if we screw something up, let's try not to do that again, right? But there's always something,
Oh, yeah.
that I don't like about the videos we do. So, it's a constant kind of process.
Always. And there's so many variables to that process, right? From the time that the hat body shows up to me, I have control over it. But you know how many steps it takes to make a felt?
Yes. Yeah.
It is a million. And that's a million different hands touching it, and there's a million different things that could go wrong. And so you only can do what you can with the felt. So yeah, there's a lot of variables that could make it better.
What were you good at when you started, and what were you not good at? What was the thing that took you the longest, I guess, to perfect or get better at?
All of it.
All of
Every bit of it. I thought I was
across the board.
Oh yeah, pretty much just take the eraser and erase everything that you freaking thought that you knew and start over is pretty much what it felt like. I thought when I started I was a pretty damn good hat shaper. I could shape a hat, and there wasn't a cowboy I shaped a hat for that wasn't happy.
Mm-hmm.
But my shaping wasn't very good.
Okay.
That all comes with time. The pouncing process. I thought that I was pouncing my felt down perfectly. I was over pouncing some, I was under pouncing others. I wasn't very good at all of it. I thought that my shining light, when I first started, I thought that my gleaming light was probably my crown. I pulled my crown down old school with a lot of steam, 30 minutes to pull the crown down, get it on a block, get it good, get it where it's sitting, and pounce it out right. It takes a lot to get that crown good. So at one time, I thought that I was really, really good at pouncing crowns or at pulling crowns down. Yeah, no, I needed help with all of it, and we still got a long ways to go, but we're getting closer.
Okay, so I have questions from the audience here.
No, we gotta let them handle that.
Really? Already?
Yes.
All right, so we're gonna reset the cameras. We're gonna come right back with Chaz, and
I'm a long-winded son of a bitch. What can I say?
1 minute.
You're watching Cowboy Cartel. Don't forget to hit that like button, and if you're enjoying the content, make sure to subscribe and tap the bell so you never miss a new video.
So you said that you still have a long way to go. Does that mean you don't think you know everything yet?
Yeah, that's kind of a funky question. I think I know quite a bit about making hats. I do it every day, so ask me a question about making hats. Yeah, I know. I don't know a lot of the history. I'm learning a lot more about the history more and more. Tom Silver got a hold of me, and I had absolutely no idea who Tom Silver was, and his daddy is the one who started American Hat Company. You know, so what I was calling a mule kick in the back, you know, you turn around and put a dent back in here on that. I always just called it a mule kick, and I got a phone call from him, and he was like, look, he goes, we call them butterflies for a long, long time. So call it whatever you want, but we call them butterflies. I'm like, man, that is interesting. So get some more history, start reading up about that kind of stuff. Trying to make things better. I think we can always make things a little bit better. I wouldn't say that I don't know. I wouldn't say that I know everything about making hats, because that's far from the truth. But we're always working to make them better. We're always trying to figure out. I've come up with a couple different ideas that have made them better for me anyway, for me to work with.
Anything off the top of your head that you can think of that helped with that?
My Brim press really helped with that a lot.
Oh yeah.
That was a really big help.
You guys will have to see that in the next video. It's really cool. You made that yourself, right? You engineered the whole
Max
thing.
and I did, yeah. Took us 2 winters welding a bunch of shit together, but we made it work. So it seems to work really good.
Is there any piece of equipment that you don't have that you think, oh man, I'd like to have that, make my job a lot easier?
Yeah, I'm always looking for something that's going to make my life easier, but I haven't. There's not really anything. You're pretty much looking at my whole shop right here, like you guys are too. Literally, it's like 800 square foot. We cram a lot of stuff into a small space. So, yeah, there's a few things that I'd like to have, and a few things, but we're not too worried about them right now.
And you mentioned earlier your wife and your son both help you in the hat making, but you are doing most of the actual making of hats, right?
No, my boy Hunter has really worked his way up, and so he's doing he does a lot of the flanging. We're both going. We're
Okay.
both going, but Hunter, I would say, is probably as good a hat maker as there is in the country right now. He's really handy.
So is it something he wants to do? He wants to stay on and keep making hats?
God, I hope so, my friend. I hope so. I couldn't make it without him, so I really hope so. He seems like he really loves it.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, we talked earlier about, you know, if you're doing what you love, you know, basically you're not working, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and so I'm glad that you have the help available, especially out here, you know, so far from anything.
Yeah, it's been challenging. I've hired a couple different people, some friends, on and off to help me with a few things, but it's pretty much just been a one-man show until about 3 years ago.
If you weren't doing hats, what would you be doing?
I've tried. Like I said, I'm not very smart. I'd probably still be shoeing horses.
Let's talk about your rise to in I guess it is fame, because you're pretty recognizable. A lot of people, especially if you watch any Western related Instagram, TikTok, stuff like that, you know, you've seen this guy probably. How's that changed your business and your life?
It changed it 100%. That's what's crazy. 2013, you needed to have a really good website. You know, Facebook and Instagram was just, there really wasn't a place to sell. It really wasn't any of that. It was more of just taking pictures and, you know, that kind of stuff. And so you really needed to have a good website. You really needed to have this. You needed to make sure that, you know, the right magazines picked you up and you had your articles in the right deal. And man, that's all made a big change. And when Chris and McKinsey stepped in, they started doing my social media. It changed everything. It's out of control. It seemed like it was overnight. I think I was on Facebook and Instagram. I had 2,000 followers on Facebook, and I don't know, maybe 200 or 300 on Instagram. I thought I was really kicking ass. And when Chris and McKinsey came in to the picture, when Die Hard Cowboy took over my social media, it changed everything. And they told me the other day something that I thought was pretty entertaining. They're like, we use you. We're using you, not we're using your face. Like, you're weird. You got your move. People like to watch you, you know. So we learned to kind of focus in more on you, which in turn makes me famous. Not necessarily my hats, right? But I'm recognizable. Herring hats are one of the best hats going down the road right now. And have you ever seen a face with herring hats? But he makes a beautiful hat. I have felt him. I've worked with him. I've cleaned them.
Okay.
They're phenomenal. He does a very, very, very good job. But there's never been a face with it, right? It's just a hat.
Yeah.
That's what you see is just the hat. And they're beautiful. Chris and McKinsey took a different approach. They're like, no, we're going to kind of put a face with that. And so now, yeah, it is kind of crazy, because we'll be walking down the road and somebody will turn around and come pulling up and be like, hey, are you Chaz Mitchell? And I'm like, holy shit, we're in the middle of nowhere. What the heck do you know me? You know how? And
right.
Oh my God, we love you. We love your social media, man. We watch it every day. It's kind of wild.
So, talking about other hat makers, are there any hat makers that other than herring hats that you admire?
Oh, I admire them all, but I do. I'm
because you know what it takes to do it.
Absolutely, right? And it's not an easy process, and it's not an easy business to be in. It's a cutthroat freaking industry. I mean, it's gnarly, but I don't have any ill will against. I haven't met a lot of them.
Really?
I haven't met a lot of hatters. I know JW, a little bit, but
JW Brooks.
Yeah. Yeah, J.W. Brooks. I know him a little bit. And I knew J.W. Whittington or J.W. Hatz when he was alive and going. And I've met the fellers from Capitol, and I say that I'm friends with all of them. They're all very admirable in their own way. Like JW, he's got the reigning cow horse world sewed up, man. He's got it. It's kind of neat to see when it comes to the custom world how you see these guys that just kind of find their niche.
You know, we haven't spent a lot of time with custom makers, but the more we do, you know, we were in kind of production hats for years, and the more time I spend with custom hat makers, the more interesting the hat world is, right? Because when you take that and turn that into an industry where you're mass producing something, even if a bunch of hands touch that, you know, you're pumping out 1,000 hats a day. It's mass production. I don't care how you slice it, right? So you're putting out 4 hats a day. I mean, that's a completely different animal, right? And a completely different end product.
But in that world, okay, everybody, you've got a patch or you've got a sticker or you've got something that says that's a Saratelli or that's an American or this is a Resistol or whatever. But because they're mass produced, they're pretty cookie cutter part.
Yeah.
And that's the difference, I think, is that if you're not wanting cookie cutter, like, man, we get pretty damn intimate. Even over the telephone, we're going to turn around. I'm going to know a lot about you, and you're going to know more about me than you wanted to, just because I'm a talker. But it's just kind of how it is. It's 2 different worlds.
So in order to you have to know something about the person you're making a hat for. You can't just say, all right, this person checked these boxes on our website, let's build him a hat.
Yeah, we don't check any boxes on websites. We don't do anything like that. If you want a hat from me, you've got to call me. You can get on Facebook and message me, and I'm going to tell you to call me. You can get on my website and tell me what you want, and I'm going to tell you to call me. That's the only way that's the only way that I personally do it, plain and simple. So I'm going to say, if you can't come to my shop and get measured by me and have me explain to you what the process and how long it's going to take and the whole 9 yards, then we're going to talk on the telephone, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about your facial features. We're going to talk about your height. We're going to talk about the broadness of your shoulders. We're going to talk about your bust size. That's just because I'm a pervert. But I need to know all that. If I want this hat to look good on you, then I need to know a lot more about you than just checking in boxes.
Okay. Who's the most famous person that you've made a hat for?
Genre.
Who?
Pick a genre.
Oh.
You know, that's the thing. So, in the movie world, I've made a couple hats for some, you know, a couple of those guys. Mickey Rourke, I made a hat for recently.
Is that
made
right?
Actually 3 for him. So,
Big hat guy. He's always been a
hat guy. Yep, and a boxing bitch. Somebody I wouldn't want to get in the ring with.
No, he's a big guy.
Yeah. But I made a couple hats for the Hollywood, and then you know, I grew up in the West, in the cowboy world, I guess. But my dad is a poet. My dad's a cowboy poet, and so I made hats for Michael Martin Murphy and Don Edwards and all those guys growing up, you know, that I grew up with. I made hats for all of them. We move into a little more modern stuff. Very proud to say I'm making Jackson Dean's hat. I put a hat on a lot of Coe's guys. So yeah, it just different. Yeah, it just kind of depends on where you're looking. In the rodeo world, in 2015, I got a phone call from the Western Horsemen asking if they could come do an article on me.
Right.
And they did. And I'm farming because I needed to get the hell out of this hat shop. It was making me crazy. I was working 6 days a week. I was, you know, and a buddy of mine needed some help, and he was like, "Hey, could you come drive this tractor in circles for me, rake some hay?" I was like, "Absolutely." So I jumped out there, went to raking hay. My phone rings. Stephenville, Texas. Chaz, how can I help you? Yeah, my name's Jim Sharp, and I seen an article on you in the Western Horseman, and me and my buddy Ty would like to get some hats from you. Like, Jim Sharp? So where do you live? Stephenville, Texas. Well, first off, Joey's calling me, right? And so I know it's not the Razor. I know it's not Jim Sharp. So I said, well, that's got to be awkward. And he said, why is that? And I said, Stephenville ain't that big of a town, and to have two Jim Sharps in there, I said, I bet that makes your banker a little goofy. He's like, well, I am Jim Sharp, and my tractor never went straight the rest of the day, but I mean, I couldn't keep the sumbitch on the road. I'm talking to one of my heroes, and he's telling me how he's interested in getting a cowboy hat, you know. So I made a hat for Jim Sharp and Ty Murray and Paige. So that was really exciting.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
So, do you still get kind of starstruck by anybody or just
All of them.
all of them really?
All of them still. I don't understand why anybody would turn around and give me a call that is somebody. You know, it don't make much sense, but they like my stuff. So
Well, you're making pretty good hats, right? So and people like them,
yeah.
and you know you're getting the word out there that you know something about hats. So why wouldn't they call you, right?
Yeah.
People I think are tired of the cookie cutter, right? Because even if you're getting one hat from any maker, right, who's pumping out a lot of hats, you can put any shape you want into it, but it's still that same hat.
Yep.
Right. So if you want something different, that's the next level, right? Custom is the next level.
I think so. Yeah. Absolutely.
Let's talk about the hats that you do make. All right. So you make three
Qualities of felt.
Three qualities.
Yep. I make a 50% beaver, I make a 100% beaver, and I make a 100% beaver belly.
Okay.
Those are the only three qualities that I'll make.
Can you tell us what the price is, or do they have to call for
You got to call for that.
that?
Yep, you got to call for that one. But
Still back to the old Facebook thing.
Yeah. Give me a ring. We'll talk about it.
All right, what's next for you? So you're doing? Would you tell me only
3 shows.
3 shows a year?
3 shows, yep.
So what's next? I guess NFR.
NFR.
Right.
We're getting ready for it right now.
Really?
Yeah. I gotta make sure that I've got enough hats to display. So we're trying to cram a couple of them in there too.
So what do you do in that situation? Because you don't stock, hats to sell to anybody, right? Everything is custom. So do you just take custom orders that you're making for somebody and take them up there and show them?
No, I did when I started because I couldn't afford to buy any extra felt, right? I wasn't making any money off of them. I was just barely getting by, and so I'd turn around and hustle your hats up. If you were 6 months out when I first started, I'd get your hat done and then give you a call and be like, "Hey Joe, do you mind if I ship your hat off on Monday? I'd like to display it for a hat, at this deal." That didn't work out too well. You have 1,000 people come by and touch your hat and try your hat on and drop your hat or spill a beer on your hat, and it bit me in the butt.
Wow.
Man, we started building display hats, and so now we build quite a few displays, put them up. And if you can't live without it, you can buy it off the shelf.
Oh, really?
You can buy them off the shelf at the show.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. So how many hats do you have to take up there with you?
I'll take a couple hundred probably.
Wow, that's a bunch.
We try to. Every year it's had to go up because every year I guess I've got a little bit more popular. But we try to take a couple hundred.
Well, 4 hats a day. That's half a year making to get 200 hats. Are they made faster than?
No.
Yeah.
Nope,
So-
we just throw them into the rotation. You've been here today for a couple hours, and you've probably touched 4 or 5 of them.
Okay.
But we've always just tried to get them and keep them in rotation.
Let's talk about hat shapes a little bit because when And on this video that we did earlier, that you guys will get to see, go check it out now. It's probably out now. We talked about this hat actually, and the shape that you put in it. It's you call it a cowpuncher, and you just released a video this week about the cowpuncher and the width of the what would normally be a center crease, but what do you call that? This dome portion of the hat that's in the middle.
This part,
It's just the crown.
right in here, yeah, that's just the top of the crown.
Right.
We just don't push it in.
Right. So, you know, the different widths determine different things.
It doesn't necessarily determine different things, okay? I don't feel. It gives it a different look.
Okay.
Okay, so I get, if you want your hat to look short and boxy, I'm going to give you a narrower dent. I'm going to give you lesser punches, right? It's going to give it a fuller look. If we was to just put dimples on each side of that hat right there, then it would give that whole hat a fuller look. So if you want your hat a little fuller, or if you don't know what you want, right? That's where your bust size comes in. I'm going to turn around and ask you, hey, bud, you know, how tall are you? How broad are your shoulders? How much do you weigh? You know, tell me a little bit about you. Because if you're a narrow-faced person, I'm going to go a little narrower across here. If you're a little wider, I'm going to go a little wider across here. I've got a really round head. For example, my face is really round, okay? And my head is shaped like an egg. And so I'm pointy in the front with a big old round in the back. A cattleman crown does not look good on me. Because my face is extremely round, I put a steeple pretty much on top of my head if I was to wear your hat, right? So even though if you wanted to go with the cowpuncher, I could widen that cowpuncher out, knowing that my face is round. I'm going to widen that cowpuncher or that cattleman out just a little bit, and make my pinches not so deep along the sides, and it'll make it a little fuller. Narrow faced, I'm going to put a little bit more pinch in there, so then that way we don't go from having a big bulbous hat to a narrow little face.
Interesting. I've never heard it described like that. So you would say the more narrow the face, the more pointy you can get away with on top.
I think so. Unless you just like a really punched in puncher, and then I'll build that for you. But if you don't know what you want, then I'm going to give you those kind of. I'll talk to you about that.
So when we talked earlier, you also mentioned that you're the king of 5-inch brims, right? So you do a lot of 5-inch brims.
We do a lot of big hats. We do a lot of
big hats. That's right.
Yeah,
you did tell me big hats.
We do a lot of big hats. We do a lot of big brims. I don't know. It seems like I'm able to. The country that I'm in, and the country that I grew up in, and so therefore the people that I made hats for when I started out my career were mostly 5-inch brim hats. Everything was a 4 3/4 or a 5-inch brim. Some people wanted them bigger than that. Big no-no. I don't like it go any bigger than 5. But yeah, we build a lot of big brims.
What do you? What is that? 4.5?
4 3/4.
4 3/4. It doesn't look that big.
Right. In proportion.
Yeah. Okay. And we mentioned that with this hat because maybe I've seen so many hats this week, but I can't see. I can't tell anything anymore. But it just doesn't seem that big.
Right.
So big hats. You're doing over 8 inches, or I'm sorry, over size 8.
Yeah.
8 1/4, 8 1/8. What are we doing?
We've gone up to 8 1/4.
8 1/4.
Yeah. I've got a block I've got an 8 1/8 block. So if I turn around and throw a felt over the top of that, and then throw another felt over the top of that, I can get my 8 1/4. So yeah, if I needed to go bigger, I could.
Okay. So you block over the top of another felt.
Oh yeah.
What does that do to the felt underneath? Is it ruined?
Oh yeah, it ruins the felt underneath it, but
Yeah.
at least it gives you one more hat size.
Yeah, but it seems expensive. Do you have to?
It depends.
Okay.
A good wooden block's going to cost you $500.
Yeah.
So, how many felts can if I, for example, the biggest size I went up to was a 7 3/4 on my blocking, right, which would give me a 7 5/8 finish.
Right.
That's as big as I got, and so if I needed to get bigger than that, I couldn't afford another $500 block to be made at the time. So, but I could afford to ruin a lower quality felt that I had, pull it down over the top, and get it wider, get it out of there.
All right. So all you guys with big heads who are looking for custom hats, this is your guy, I'm assuming, right?
We can make a pretty big hat.
If you can wait a year.
Yeah, if you can wait a year.
So let's talk about this hat that you're wearing now. Do you always wear that shape? You only have one hat? Do you have many hats that you wear? Do you switch it out?
I've got a lot of hats, but this is pretty much my shape, okay? Like I said, my face is rounder. I don't like me in a cattleman's or even a wide cattleman crown. So I guess it's just been years of wearing what I wore. An ashtray crown was what I wore growing up, and then got into the rodeo deal, so of course a cattleman crown, it was a must, had to. Yeah, when I started building my own, I made 100 different hat shapes and 100 different hats for me, and we ended up, this is the one that I stuck with,
okay.
Traditional.
So what color do you call that? It's dark gray to me.
Yeah, it's a dark gray.
Yeah.
Yep, it's a dark gray.
You don't go to fancy steel or no fancy color name?
No, steel's a different color. I've got a steel though.
Okay.
And yeah, but it's a little different color. But dark gray, granite, and steel, those are the three that we make in the gray categories. But
okay.
This is a dark gray, Canadian crown on it. I went with a 4 3/4 inch brim. I'm getting older, so my brims are getting shorter. I call bullshit on that. I'm going to be honest with you. My grandpa had an open road, and I seen pictures of my grandpa in a great big old friggin' 4.5 inch brim or whatever they had back in the 30s. You know what I mean? And I seen a picture of him as a young man in that. But I always related to my grandpa with a little open road. It happens. I was a 5 inch brim guy forever. 4 3/4 now. My next one will probably be a 4.5. If I ever get that short, I better be a lot older than I am now.
You're watching Cowboy Cartel. Don't forget to hit that like button, and if you're enjoying the content, make sure to subscribe and tap the bell so you never miss a new video.
I noticed when all of my straw that I personally wear are 4.5 inch brims, and that just started. I always wore a 4 1/4, and then I got an American, and it was all they had was a 4 1/4 or 4.5, and I wore it. This was, I don't know, four years ago or something when I first started wearing American hats, and I really liked the 4.5. You know, the shape was good, and then so all of my felts kind of moved to that. And so all of my felts are 4 1/4, except for one. And all of my straws are 4.5, which is weird. So, you know, you'll go through an entire season of wearing felt, and then you put on that 4.5 inch straw, and it's like, man, that feels big. And then you wear that all summer, or, you know, whatever, you get used to that, and then you put this on, and it seems small. So
Right.
I think it's a perspective change, right?
100%. Yep.
I have all of my hats, really, I think, except one straw, are cattlemen, and they all look pretty much the same, right? Some of them maybe laid open a little bit more, but they're all right about 7.5 to 8 inches wide.
Right.
And so I don't vary from that very often. But, you know, I don't know if it's a creature of habit or just what
I think so, and I wouldn't. And that's the thing. Being a custom hat guy, I don't think that I would change it. I like it looks good on you.
Thank you.
So I would not. If you were to come to me and be like, Chaz, tell me about my facial structure, and tell me about the size of my bust, and tell me what would look the best on you. And I'd say, bud, you look really good in that hat, and if you're comfortable with it, do not change it.
Well, that's comforting to know for sure, and that was going to be my next question. What would you think I should be wearing? So it's good to know. But how about somebody who doesn't know, and maybe they don't have access to you, and maybe they don't have the money to go custom right away, or maybe they don't know if they really, really want to wear a hat, right? They like the idea of it, and this is their first hat. How do they know where to start? What can they look at in themselves and look in the mirror and say, I should probably go with either a brick, or maybe I should go with a taller hat.
That one's tough.
Yeah.
I think that if you have someone there, the hats that I have on display at the NFR or at my shows are a little bit of everything. So then that way we can put it on and go, okay, I really like this. This brim fills out your shoulders really good, or it does this. Look at this crown though. Let's change this crown up. This crown might look better on you. And if you've got 100 hats to choose from, different shapes, different styles, different brim widths, different all that, then absolutely you can turn around and do that and find one that works for you. But if you're in a store and you've got an option between a brick and a cattleman, then you stand in front of the mirror and go, which one do I like better? Right? Because there's not a lot of people that you can go to that says, if you were to just bring this back up right here just a little bit, most of the people in the cow ranch can't do that. Even your shapers, they really don't know what you're looking at. What is the eye difference that catches that? If you do like we do, you mess with them every day, you can spot that right away and know what it takes to change that.
Yes, yeah, and and we talk about this all the time, especially shaping for somebody who's new to hats. They'll say, I want a cattleman, or they'll come in and they want a mimic, right? But they've got an extra long oval, and their head doesn't quite fit good in that hat. And I say, you know what? You put a deeper center crease in that, and you go to a cattleman instead of maybe a mimic. You're gonna oval that hat out, and it's gonna be better. It's gonna be more comfortable. You're gonna be more likely to wear it.
Right.
Right. So
absolutely.
Where you get that tall crown, there's nothing to keep that oval kind of stretched.
Right.
So
a lot of different things, and that's the farther you get into it, the more you mess with that kind of stuff, you figure it out. Like, holy cow, that did make a big difference. There for a long time, if somebody said that they wanted a cattleman crown, I'll put a cattleman crown in it. I don't care if your head is round like a basketball. A cattleman crown is going to look like shit no matter how you shape it. When your sides are coming in like this, it's really, really hard to have a nice creases on the side that pulls everything together. And so you're 100% right on that you've got to turn around and try them on. Look at different things, but certain shapes match certain people way better. And getting to know that aspect of it for me was a big deal.
I don't know if I have that ability. I can still look at somebody and if they put a hat on, and I never try to talk anybody out of a shape. I figure it's their hat. If that's what they want to wear, go for it. I'll make suggestions. We had one guy. He was pretty new to hats. It might have been his first hat. He bought a 40X, and we shaped it up, and it was really, it was a pretty shape. It was just, everything was symmetrical. I think it was a cattleman crown, and probably 7 inches wide. Probably what I would wear, because that's kind of how it turns out. If they don't know what they want, they're going to get what the shapers get.
I like what you're wearing.
Yes,
yep.
Exactly,
yep.
Right?
Yep.
So, but it was really, everything flowed really nice, and he's like, yeah, I don't know, maybe we should widen this out. And I'm like, it's beautiful. Like, it's very good looking hat. Live with it. Go watch the rodeo. Hang out in it for a couple hours. If you don't like it, come back and I'll change it. Yeah. But so he was talking to his buddy, and he's like, yeah, it's a good looking shape. So.
Yeah, it takes a lot of convincing, and that's part of your job as a shaper or as a hat maker.
Yeah.
Is to tell them, because you are the best. When they walk into you, you're the best in the business at that time, right? Like, here you are. Welcome to my shop. What would you like? Well, I'd like this. Okay. Yeah. Sometimes you've got to. My hat is very, very easy for anyone to wear. Your shape is not. round faced, long faced, the whole 9 yards. We can turn around and push a dimple in. We can move some stuff around, make it where we virtually got this same shape, where yours is a little higher and a little more peaked. That might have been the reason that it kind of drove me to this shape, is because it is really easy for me to take this off and put it on you and say, hey, tell me what you think. We go a little taller crown. Absolutely, but at least we've got a starting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. That's an interesting point. And so on your try-on hats, they're just everything. You go, the cowpuncher to a brick to
You name it.
whatever you got.
We've got Gus's. I mean,
Really?
oh yeah.
You do a lot of those?
It's coming back, kind of.
I did 3 of them. I did 3 of them this weekend. I couldn't believe
I
it.
know, it's kind of crazy, huh?
Yes.
And different parts of the country, you'll do a lot more of one thing versus another. It doesn't matter if you're at a rodeo or where you are, you know?
I think we talked about this off camera. I did 3 Gus's and 2 quarter horses, and it's the first time probably I've done either one of them in 3 years, 3 or 4
Yeah.
years.
Yeah,
Hadn't seen another one.
right?
Probably won't see another one for a while.
Well, maybe not. Maybe not.
What's your favorite shape to do?
I like all shapes.
Okay.
There's some shapes that I hate.
Yeah. Okay.
You know,
Let's talk about that.
we've all got shapes that we hate. There's a couple of them I'm not a big fan of.
Because they're a pain in the ass to do, or because you just don't like the look of them?
It's sometimes both. Okay. The rose.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Did
good.
1 or 2 of those this weekend. 1, 2? 1. Yeah, 2.
Okay, and so on your rose, you virtually are an ashtray. That's what you start out with, right? Is an ashtray. You suck the whole top in, and you turn around and start out with an ashtray crown. That's how. I mean, that was very, very, very big in the Mexican culture. The Vicarros turned around and come up out of California with that Vicarro style, which is an ashtray crown.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it came in, and that's how it was introduced up here. And so it's a very common shape and a very clean and beautiful shape. And now we're starting to fold things over and make it look like a rose and do this and do that and all these different things to it. I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan. I like traditional. I like a traditional look.
I like to do a Minic. I like to do a CHL. Those are the easiest ones. I can knock those out quick and get you out the door.
They make you feel like a stud when you draw those ones, huh? Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty quick. Get them
Yeah.
done. Yeah. So, what was the other question you had?
What is a hat shape that should not come back?
So, Lorena wants to know if you have any old hat shapes that you don't want to see come back.
Old.
That rose crown.
Those are going to be hot and cold all the time. I still probably end up doing 2 or 3 of them a year. You know what I mean? But they're not a real hot deal. The whole hat itself, not necessarily just a crown shape, but a whole shape in general.
I bet I know what it is.
You say it then.
RCA with the feathers.
I love that style, man. Are you shitting me? I love that style. Hell yeah. So you turn around and take the Cowboys from the late 60s through the 70s. Those son of guns had some class. Like, wow. Charlie One Horse was making some really wicked stuff back in those days and really neat looking lids. It's nowadays, okay? And even Lainey Wilson changed her style, guys. All right? Because that flat hat with that, you turn around and put that damn teardrop crown and just leave it flat as a pancake. I don't like it.
How about Coulter Wall? He changed his too. Did you see that?
I'm glad.
It looks fantastic now.
Yeah, I think he's getting his hat from. I think he's getting his hats from a friend of mine.
I know the guy up in Canada.
Yeah. Samson.
Samson with a P on Instagram. Go check him out. We got all the details on Coulter Wall's hats from him. We're going to recreate that. It's coming up.
Yeah. Samson came right here. This is where he learned.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So that's really cool because I really like to see what he's got going on. So he's a friend of J.B. Zelke, a friend of ours. We did that music festival with him, and he made his hat as well. So I'd love to go see Samson and see what he's got going on. So you actually let people come in here and apprentice for you?
No. Samson was my first and last.
First and last.
I love him and he loves me, but I'm not a very good teacher.
Yeah.
We're teaching a hat class this year, and it's more for fun. We'll do that at the National Cowboy Poetry Gathering in January of this upcoming year, and we'll have 20 students in there. We'll build a hat from scratch, kind of like how I learned. But yeah, we did. I took on Samson as an apprentice, and we spent a month in here, built hats, and drank a lot of whiskey.
So all right. So how is he as a hat maker? Because all I've seen is the Coulter's on video, and then
they're kind of sexy, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of good at what he does. Yeah, he's very good at what he does.
Nice. How long ago did you start teaching him that?
I don't know. I think it was right before COVID.
Okay.
Somewhere around there.
So, nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll definitely have to go talk to him next.
Yeah, you got to get a hold of Samson. You wanna turn around and have a good time. He's a good one to bullshit with. Yeah.
All right. So Lorena wants to know biggest misconceptions about hats. And one of the things we always say, people will come in and say, I don't want a woman's hat, or I don't want a man's hat, meaning they don't want the cattleman because they think it's a man's hat. And I always say, and I learned this from other hat shapers, but if you take this hat and you put it on a man, it's a cowboy hat. If you put it on a woman, it's a cowgirl hat. So it's a unisex hat. It's not like any specific shape, unless you're talking about maybe some of the more fashion.
You bet.
So what are some of the misconceptions, or kind of that aspect?
Well, you kind of hit it. Pretty much is there is a lot of misconception there. The bow used to determine the difference between a man's hat and a woman's hat, bud. If the bow was on the right, it was for a woman. If the bow was on the left, it was for a man. That's the way that it was.
Mind blown. I didn't even know they put the bow on the other side.
Yeah, so a woman's hat would have the bow on the right, and a man's hat would have a bow on the left. I don't know how long ago that went away, but now if you want to wear a hat, wear a hat.
Yeah.
If it's pink, I'd say it's probably a girl's.
It's possible.
It's possible.
You don't know.
It's possible. You never know these days, right? But yeah, that's one of the biggest misconceptions, in my opinion, in cowboy hats is what you can do with them. Like, everybody's got in their mind that if you're going to be paying, and I promise you, congratulations, American. If you can get $275 to $300 for a straw hat, you're freaking ninjas. They're still a throwaway hat.
Yeah.
That's the biggest misconception, is if you're going to pay $300 for one of those son of a guns, it better last you a while. They're still a summer hat. That's what they are. They're made out of grass and glue. And that's it. So how long a hat will last and what you can do to them after. Going from a cattleman's crown and saying, hey, I want to change this cattleman's crown to a CHL, you're like, no, that I can't, right? You can't do it. The creases are all wrong. You're going to have dents. You're going to have bubbles. You're going to have spots that doesn't make it looks like the crown got changed, plain and simple. So what you can do with felt and what you can do with straw versus what you can't, that seems to be the biggest misconception. People turn around and show up here all the time with their brand new felt. Brand new. Paid over $1,000 for it. Chaz's hat is way too tight. It's like, you left it in the dash of your goddamn truck, didn't you? I did. It's like, well, you're paying for this one, and you're going to pay well for it, because if you do that again, I'm going to kick your ass on the second round. You know what I mean? There's certain things that you don't do. What you can do with them and what you can't, that's the biggest misconception, I think, is that when you've got a straw hat or a felt hat, when Cheyenne Romans gets this son of a gun, if she turns around and takes it, and that's how she sets it, it's going to look like shit by tomorrow afternoon. There's still care that goes into them, and that seems to be that was the whole point of me even preaching on this thing Facebook stuff in the first place, was like, please, there's certain things, keep your hat turned upside down, you know what I mean, or keep the pressure off of the brim, set it this way, set it that way, don't put it in the sun, don't let it get too cold. There's certain things, a lot of things that people don't know, how easy they are to clean, and why wouldn't you? Little things like that.
We get these internet warriors all the time. We'll display a hat for a video, sitting like this. We'll hit it, we'll shoot it from the back, and they'll be like, "Get that off the brim." Well, first of all, I know what I'm doing. It's sitting there for 10 seconds. There's no pressure on the brim, and I know how to fix it if I do screw it up, right? And I have steamers in my house. We got tons of them. So it's not like I don't know what I'm doing. So there's a difference, right? If you know what you're doing and you know how to treat a hat, great. If you don't, you really should learn.
Yes, please.
Especially if you're spending a ton of money.
Please do. Please do. And please ask. Please. Don't be scared to ask. It's a lot better than turn around and having me send a hat to New Jersey and they screw it up in 2 or 3 days, not knowing. Ask me.
Yeah.
There's always a little form that comes in, all of it. That little card that you've seen, a lot of people have little tags in there that say how to keep them clean or what to do. Mine's got just sassy little notes in it and different stuff like that. So,
can you read that for us? I don't have my glasses. Oh, I do have my glasses here. I can't read.
This product's handcrafted with time-proven care, assuring the very best fit that you can wear. With fur from an elbow, or with grease from my elbow and fur from a beast, what you end up with is a Chaz masterpiece.
Chaz masterpiece. And so this goes in every hat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
This, I've got another saying that we put in there too, another little poem.
Oh, really? You just kind of switch it up?
Yeah, just turn around and grab one up and throw it in. Yeah.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Did you write that?
Yeah. I got a little bit of that poetic from my dad.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say that. Is your dad still with us? And writing poetry?
No, he's writing like the son of a gun. He doesn't perform anymore. He did his last show in January, but he's loving the retired life and just writing poems.
So do you wear felt year round?
Year round.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to, depending, it gets pretty hot down there, and if we're going to be outside, I will go to straw, but for the most part, I wear felt.
So I grew up in the high desert, 5,000 foot in elevation, rodeoed in Texas. When you rodeo in Texas and you're from Nevada, you do it in the wintertime when it's warm. Mm-hmm. Everybody wore felt. I had absolutely no idea that there was such thing as a felt hat season. It blew my mind, and I found this out in 2023 when I dropped my straw hat line 3 days in Texas after the felt hat season ended. 3 days after, stupid time to drop straw hat line, But I've always worn felt.
And we found this out when we were up in Idaho that they are almost religious about seasons, right? Felt in winter, straw in summer. That's it. Where I personally think that felt is the most formal, most acceptable, and straw season is only when it is acceptable to wear straw. It's not a season all to itself. It's always acceptable to wear felt, but it's only acceptable to wear straw during straw season.
That's interesting. An interesting thought, and good way to put it together. I agree 100%.
Cool.
Didn't think we needed straw hats until I went to Texas. So I didn't understand them. Now I'm like, yeah, it's a thing, and they're needed.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the booming in hats for women? Like, there's a bridal shower, their own hats, they put feathers, they distress them, they do this, they do that.
Build-A-Bear for hats.
Yes.
Lorena wants to know how you feel about Build-A-Bear for hats. All of these hat bars that they got, and they're putting out these. And we talked about this. These $12 hats, and then bedazzling the crap out of them and turning them into something for $200.
Pretty awesome gig, ain't it?
If you can get it right.
Wow. If you can pull it off and make it live, like, you better be willing to jump to a different business soon, okay? Because it's going to go away. They have their rise and their fall, and their rise and their fall, and I think it's a great concept. I love the fact that everyone is wearing a cowboy hat. I said this to you earlier. I'm like, Taylor Sheridan, thank you very much.
Thank God and Taylor Sheridan.
Yeah, well, I won't go that far, but thank you very much, Mr. Sheridan, for doing what you did, because it was able to turn around and keep me in business, you know. But the rise and fall of the hat bar, I think we'll see it again in our lifetime, Joe, for sure. But it'll come back in and be a real hot topic and then die back down.
Well, this is, and we've mentioned this many times, that we are currently in the longest lived, Western resurgence or Western boom in at least 100 years, probably. So, how long do you think this is going to last?
I hope that the hats stay in for a while, because they are a part of an everyday wear, and it's very easy for it to become that way.
It's better than a ball cap.
That's what I'm saying. Turn around and watch the gangs in New York. Everybody wore a hat. Mm-hmm. Broke, rich, it didn't matter. Everybody wore one. Everybody wore a hat.
Right, and we talked about this with in our podcast with Hamlin hats. It all kind of left about 1960s, right? That was kind of the decline of everybody wearing a hat, in JFK kind of era. And then, in the 80s and especially the 90s, everyone was wearing ball caps, right? And that's still true today. That's such an informal piece of attire, right? And ugly, really. There's not a lot to it, right? It's all plastic and
right,
cotton.
Right.
Why not wear something that's aesthetically pleasing and well made and handmade?
But our generation was not that generation, my friend. That's a problem. Like, it's our fault because of that decline. I think we're a throwaway generation.
That's true.
Of people. They didn't have microwave dinners until we were born, and disposable diapers and everything. Right? You just chuck it. Ball caps are easy to chuck. And we got that way. You wear one out, you throw it away. You don't spend the time to vacuum it up and brush the sweat off of it and set it back on the rack so that it doesn't have the pressure on the brim, so it looks good tomorrow. We stepped away from that. We really got into a fast-paced, grab your ball cap and let's go type of situation.
Yeah.
I'd like to see the world slow down a little bit, spend a little more time when to brush one up.
All right, we got to take one more quick break, and then we'll come back and wrap it up.
You're watching Cowboy Cartel. Don't forget to hit that like button, and if you're enjoying the content, make sure to subscribe and tap the bell so you never miss a new video.
Let's ask what's next for Chaz Mitchell Hatz. What would your dream for this business to become?
Well, that's a legitimate question. There was no goal, right? When I first started building hats, there wasn't a plan. I really liked Charlie One Horse's take on things, right? I'm like, if hopefully I can become a big enough burr in the side of big hat company that they'll want to buy me out. And that's the only way I'm ever going to get a retirement, because if not, then I'm going to just work until the day that I die. And like I told you earlier, that just leaves, if I was to die today, that leaves about 275 people that need deposits back. So hopefully my wife can handle taking care of all that shit.
Well, your son, you might know how to finish him off.
Yeah, we got him. He'll take care of her for a little while. But it's, I didn't have a goal. I didn't have a plan. I just wanted to work, and I wanted to do something that I wanted to do. I worked for the county road department. It's one of my early jobs. And I quit that job because I hated it and because I didn't feel like I was doing anything right. We spent more time trying to find something not to do rather than just do what needed to be done. And it pissed me off. I don't like that mentality. And an old boy asked me, he says, so are you really willing to turn around and quit this job with retirement and benefits to turn around and go crawl on the back of that goddamn horse right there and spend the rest of your life doing that? Because you see that old man? He's 81 years old and he still has to get on that horse every day. And I said, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. He's got a purpose and a reason to get up and a reason to go do something. You guys wake up every morning to figure out what you're going to do for the weekend and how you can hide from doing anything when it should just get done. I love that thought process, and so that's why I did this. I love it. I get up every morning and I go to work and I'm excited to do it. And if I'm not, I don't come in because I'm not going to do my best, right? I need to make my best product. Shy had to wait a year. If I turn around and show up with a bad attitude and half-ass that hat, she waited a year for a half-ass hat. That's a no-go, right? You gotta love what you do, and you gotta try to make it better.
And it's your reputation on the line, right? So if
Absolutely.
you do enough of those like that come out bad, then you're not going to be selling anything.
Thanks. And I like the fact that my business is based on my reputation, on how hard I work and how good of a job I got. I do. If I've got a decent enough eye to make that shape right and look good on you, and I did my job, I can get a job. Hopefully I've got work tomorrow. Hopefully you told somebody, and hopefully that person gives me a call. I'm hoping that's what's going to drive it on. I don't care about retirement. I don't care about any of it. So where's Chaz Hatz going to go? I don't know. It's not for sale. You couldn't buy it right now. I don't think you could. That was my whole goal, was like, I need to get this big enough that, big hat company's going to come in and buy me out. Yeah, they couldn't afford me right now. I love what I do, and I don't want to change it. So, do I see it going someplace? Yeah, I hope to God my kids take it over and it keeps going, and I hope it's, bigger and better than it ever was. But I hope that they stay traditional to what it's about. I hope that part doesn't change,
Well, keep putting out the Instagram and Facebook reels, because I think they're very informative, and I think people like seeing them too. So you kind of become a staple in our industry, and there's Chaz got a new video out. So keep doing what you're doing.
Never, ever, ever. I've had my booth set up at the NFR since 2020. Texas was my very first place that I went. Couldn't afford it before then, and so I went down to Texas and I set up. And last year, I walked past the Best Hat booth, because you got to walk right past them to get to mine, way down in the corner, stuffed in the back. You've got to walk right past them boys, and they're like, Chaz, how are you? And it's like, how the hell do they know who I am? That's when my wife's like, see, it paid off. The recognition is there now, where it wasn't. I didn't think that I didn't know that there was such things.
The mustache is iconic too, right now.
Yeah, kind of iconic.
When did that become a thing? Has it always been?
In like 1985, when the very first picture ever happened to my dad.
Really?
After that, it just kind of been rolling ever since. Yeah.
All right, cool. Guys, I hope you learned some really cool, interesting information about your guy Chaz here. And Chaz, really appreciate you letting us come in and talk hats and showing us your process. And guys, don't forget to go over and check out that other video. It should be pretty interesting. Like and subscribe. Lodain is off screen telling me. Don't forget, tell them to like and subscribe. So guys, like and subscribe. It really helps us. It costs you nothing. So.
And do you have a little icon that we can put right here?
For?
On there, that you could just like and subscribe, that
Yeah.
button. You know how they always do that with their little finger? They're like right there, and it
Got
just
one.
so happens it's right there on the screen.
Got one of those. It's right here.
Right there? Is that what it is? Right here. Like and subscribe.
And make sure you're following Chaz on Instagram and Facebook. You're not on YouTube or TikTok.
I don't know. I don't think so.
We'll find out. We'll put links to his social media accounts below, and if they want a hat, they have to call him.
Got to call.
Where do you want to put the phone number?
Right here.
There you go. Call him right there. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one.